Okay, so compare this with your notes. What shape is this? A cylinder. Anytime the cylinder or just any 3D shape in general, anytime you could put it up and it would not be slanted. Do you guys remember what the slanted ones are called? It starts with an O. Oblique. So anytime it's not slanted, that means it's not oblique, then we call it right. So this is a right cylinder. Yeah, perfect. A right cylinder. They might call it a right circular cylinder, which I think is funny because most cylinders are circles. You could technically make an oval cylinder, but we don't see those very often. So you could call this a right circular cylinder or just a right cylinder. And do you guys remember how we find the area, or not the area, the volume of a cylinder? Area of the base times the height. The shape of the base is a circle, so we're going to do area of a circle times the height. So what's the area of a circle? Pi radius squared. So we're going to say the volume is pi times 3 squared. So there's the area of the base. And then what's the height of the cylinder? 7. So even though the cylinder is laying on its side, we're still going to call 7 the height, even though that part's not up and down. All right, now these ones, they want us to find the exact volume. If you look at the instructions, they want the exact volume. That means when we plug it in our calculator, we don't get to use decimals. All right, so that means I should not type in the pi, because as soon as I type pi in my calculator, I have to have a decimal answer. So we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi, which means we don't type it in a calculator. So 3 squared times 7, 63. So our answer is that the volume is 63 pi, and this is a volume, so what are the units? Meters cubed. Okay, we're done with that one. What is the solid here, or the figure here?
Triangular prism.
Triangular prism. Is it slanted? If we were to prop it up, would it be slanted? No. So we're going to say this is a right triangular prism. They asked if they were okay, so it sounds like somebody went down. Yeah. All right, so a prism has a volume. How do we find the volume of the prism? Area of the base times the height. What's the shape of the base? A triangle. So we're going to say 1/2 times the base times the height of the triangle. What's the base and height of the triangle? Okay, so 1/2 times 13 times 11. There's the area of the base. What's the height? 15. The height of the prism is 15.
Oh, yeah, because we flip it, don't we?
Yep, you think about it like being propped up. Okay. Yeah. Let me go ahead and write it this way. Area of the base, height. So we know exactly what we're doing. Okay. I don't have to worry about plugging this one in because those are all going to give us nice answers. So 1/2 times 13 times 11 times 15. 1072.5. Am I okay with decimals here?
Yes.
Yes, because I didn't round. I could write the whole thing down, no problems. What are my units? Feet cubed. Okay, what is this called? A sphere. Spheres don't get to be right or oblique. They're just spheres. All right? Please don't ever tell me this is a ball.
It's a basketball.
Basketball is an example of a sphere, but don't call it a ball because that's not the mathematical form or term for it, right? All right. Yes?
From like here on out, are we doing like geometry stuff?
So this unit is geometry, next unit is geometry, then we have trig, remember sine, cosine, tangent, and then we have statistics. So
We do stats.
I don't like.
we do, but not a lot, just like a very little bit.
I don't like. That's like.
Yeah. Well, honestly, we probably won't get to it,
Okay.
to be honest.
But is it going to be on the ESC?
Probably.
So can when we review, could you like teach it to us?
So whatever you want to look at, as far as the EOC, I'm not gonna be like, oh, the EOC sank your grade and we didn't teach you everything, so it's like a CBU. I'm not gonna be like that. So if the EOC like sinks your grade, then I'll mathematically figure it out. But that doesn't mean you don't try. So it means like I will work some magic in the grade book. Yeah. So you still try, you still whatever. I'll be comparing like, okay, this student usually gets an A, they still got an A. This student usually gets a B, they still got a B. This student slacked off. They usually get a B, but they got a D. It's probably because they slacked, not because the test was hard. Does that make sense?
Well, then you're just like you.
Yeah. Then I will turn you in for cheating.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So volume for a sphere. What's the formula? Okay, so we're going to say 4/3 pi and then 3 cubed. Okay, to get the exact volume, I should plug in everything but pi. 4/3 times 3 to the third. 36. 36 pi meters cubed. Okay? What is this one? A rectangular prism. Is it slanty?
No.
Nope. So we're going to say right rectangular prism. I didn't really get any oblique pictures for you today because I would have had to find them one by one, and I wasn't feeling that dedicated because I was throwing axes. Okay?
I mean, throwing out
Yes. No, it was last night. So when you're doing these today, you're going to be like, wow, most of these are right prisms or right cylinders. Yes. Yes.
What inspired you to go throw axes?
I had some anger to get out. I'm just kidding. It sounded like fun.
Where did you get throw axes?
At Urban Axes, an axe throwing establishment.
I want to throw axes.
Literally, all it is a warehouse with boards on the wall, and you throw axes at
How
them.
old do you have to be?
You have to be 21.
Is it like, does it have like a bar or something? Is that?
Yeah, that's why was scary.
It was very satisfying. To be fair, they do serve alcohol there.
See?
That makes sense, actually.
Wait, why would
Dude, honestly, if you're
Thanks.
throwing
Now, if you are intoxicated to a certain level, they will tell you to stop throwing axes for your own personal safety. It was so fun. I said all I needed to really make it a good time was put some student pictures up there, and then it would have been like perfect. So as it was, I'd give it a 95. Putting student pictures up would have made it 100 for sure.
How much do you lift?
I'm like,
She throws axes, throws whatever
Would
that
you
ball
throw an
is.
axe at
Like,
me?
when I would not. When I walk into the gym, everyone just parts. They part a path for me. I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. All right. Right rectangular prism. What's the formula for the volume? Area of the base times the height. Are you noticing something? It's very repetitive. All right. So this time, the shape of the base is a rectangle. And so how do we find the shape of the base, or how do we find the area of the base? So I'd say 8 times 12, that's the base. What's the height? 4.
Wait.
You could, but so when Kaylee said the area of the base was 8 times 4, she was thinking of taking it and flipping it on its side, and we'd find the same volume either way.
I know, but the thing is, isn't the base the one that's normally like darkened? Like, isn't that like supposed to be base when it's darkened, or is it just random?
No, I think the dark is just to show you that it's a different dimension, because if it wasn't shaded, then you'd have a hard time seeing it in 3D,
Yeah, no,
as
I
opposed
just
to...
always thought that it was like the darkened was the
Yeah.
base.
It doesn't really matter since we get the same answer either way.
yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and find the volume of this one. 384 millimeters cubed. Okay. All right. Now with this one, we have a right cone. You could say right circular cone, but cones are typically circular. I mean, technically it could be an oval, but I honestly don't see those very much. So we have a cone. It's a right cone. It's not oblique. It's not slanty. So how do we find the volume of a cone? 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So we're going to have 1/3. How do we find the area of the base? Pi radius squared. So pi times 3 squared, 1/3 area of the base times the height. What's the height? It is not 9.
Wait, how is the height not 9?
That's slanty. That's not straight up and down.
Oh, that's a slant. Okay, so do we solve for the area of the triangle?
We're going to have to find the height.
Which would be
So what do you guys see right here?
right triangle.
A right triangle. What can we use on a right triangle? Pythagorean theorem.
Okay, so
Whew, okay.
now we got H squared.
So 3 squared plus h squared equals 9 squared.
Okay, good, because I failed geometry.
I know this stuff. Yes.
How's algebra failed geometry?
So, but you get like a decimal answer from that, don't you?
Well, if we're going to do an exact answer, then we're going to have to use the square root, not the decimal. So let's go ahead and keep solving this. Is everyone okay with what we've done so far?
So that's 9 plus.
So when we looked at this, we can see the side of the cone is 9, but that's not the height. Anyone remember what it's called from the video? We talked about this. It starts with S. Slant height. So a slant height is not the same as the actual height. Okay, so the slant height is 9, but we want just the height of the cone. And when I look at this, I can see that a right triangle has been made, and so I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So 3 squared plus the height squared equals 9 squared, so that's 9 plus h squared equals 81.
And then when you subtract 9, you get 72.
Okay, so what's the height?
Square root of 72.
Square root 72. All right, so we're going to say the height is square root 72. The reason we are not taking the decimal from that is because we wouldn't have an exact answer anymore. So that's why we are leaving it like
So
that.
are we going to, when we do the multiplication, are we leaving square root 72?
Out. We're not going to type it
So
in.
we're just going to multiply 3 by 1/3 then.
So you're going to say 1/3 times 3 squared
So 1/3
is
times
3.
9.
So we're going to have 3 square root 72 and then a pi. But we're not going to type the square root because that would give us a decimal answer. And so we have meters squared, or meters cubed, sorry. Now, a lot of people would probably not leave it as square root 72 because that's a pretty big number. They would probably simplify that radical. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip our paper on the back because we're going to run out of space. I'm just going to write square root 72, and then I'm going to do a little factor tree. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, those are fun. So what do we have that multiplies to 72?
9 and 8.
9 and 8. Okay, what multiplies to 9?
3 and 3.
3 and 3. Okay, that one's done.
2 and 4.
Whenever I finish figuring out what multiplies to it, I like to scribble out the numbers I'm done with so that they don't confuse me later. So maybe try that. Or don't try it. It's up to you. All right.
2 and 4, and that becomes 2 and
2 and 4. I'm going to scribble out the 8 because I'm done with it. 4 is 2 and 2. I'm going to scribble out the 4 because I'm done with it. All right. So now we have to look at our pairs.
36.
So we have a pair of 3s and a pair of 2s. And then we have an extra 2 that's not a pair.
36 square root 2.
So the pairs you multiply in the front. So we've got 3 and 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And then the leftovers go inside. 6 square root 2. Okay, so let's flip our paper back over. So we have 3 times 6 square root 2 pi meters cubed, which really gives us 18 square root 2 pi meters cubed.
And this is how you always want us to put it? You always want to put it like that? Or
If it was a problem where you could just put your own answer, I'd probably, the first one would be fine with me. But if this is a multiple choice problem, then you should go with this one because that's probably the one that they would have as a multiple choice
What
answer.
if they have like all 3?
They would not have all 3 of them.
This way we can use it like that. For the rate pi, we don't have to do like I noticed you draw like a straight line. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so pi is actually a Greek letter, and if you think about the English alphabet, everybody writes things a little bit differently. So like you learn it a certain way, and then everyone puts their own spin on it.
Right.
Pi is kind of the same way.
You don't have to.
You don't have to make the top squiggly if you don't want to.
Because I always like end up missing the tops.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of math people, a lot of like math teachers or people who do math a lot end up writing their pies like this because it's faster than like doing a perfect squiggle. Yeah. Or I had some professors who did it, but like did it like a curve, so it ended up looking like
A mushroom.
yeah, like a mushroom kind of. So whatever. All right. What is this one called?
I have like a genuine question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Okay, are we ever gonna have to like use pi like as the?
Yes.
Thanks. Excited for it.
Yeah. All right. So this is a cylinder, right? This time they didn't give us the radius, they gave us the diameter. I can tell because the dotted line goes all the way across the circle.
But your radius would just be 5.
The radius would just be 5. So just be careful to watch out for that. Don't automatically use the number. Think if it's a radius or diameter. Okay, so what's the volume of a cylinder? Area of the base times the height. So the area of the base is going to be pi times 5 squared. The height of the cylinder, 11. Okay, and so let's get the exact answer. 5 squared times 11. Okay. I just realized there's no pyramids in here. How sad. So sad. All right, what is this?
It's a right triangular.
Right triangular prism. So for the prism, a prism has to go straight up and down. So when you look at it right now, it's not going straight up and down. It's like slanty, but it's not because it's oblique. It's just because it's flipped over on its side. So this one, the base would be the triangle, and you would have to flip it to make it like. So it's like it looks like this, but like sitting perfectly. If that makes sense. Okay. So the prism, the volume of a prism is area of the base times the height. The area of the base is a triangle. So 1/2 times the base of the triangle. Yeah, they didn't give us the base of the triangle. Do you see that? The base of the triangle is this side. They gave us the height of the triangle, though. So 1/2 times base times 9. The base wouldn't be 15. It's a slant, yeah. And then times the height of the prism, which is 18, right? Okay, so we do have to find the base of the triangle, and it's a right triangle.
So we use Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to label this as B for base. So we have B squared plus 9 squared equals 15 squared.
12. Because you subtract, because you get B squared plus 81 plus 225, and then when you subtract it, you get 144, and that equals 12.
Ooh.
Wow, the square root.
You know what's funny is I made up numbers and I didn't even do that on purpose. Because you can, yeah, look at, well, I hand wrote it. I did white out on the side that had the number that would make it easy. And I made it more difficult. No. I didn't plan out the other one to be square root 72 either, so it'd be one that you could simplify. I just made up a number, threw it in there. That's how brilliant I am, you guys. Just brilliant. All right.
I didn't tell that you made it because you didn't put your little bit of.
Well, I didn't make the whole thing. I just wanted to fix some problems, so we had to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I just did a couple. All right. So let's go ahead and type it in. I wonder what this answer is going to be. Nobody will know. You guys are all cheaters trying to get my answers.
You already showed it.
Could you see it?
Showed it. Yeah. I mean, I already did it, but you already showed it.
All right. All right. What is the next one? What's that shape called? A rectangular prism.
That is right.
It is right because it's straight up and down. Okay. And how do we find the volume? Area of the base times the height. And what's the base?
This is 6 times 6.
Yeah, and so you could think of it, you could say like this is the base and it's flipped over on its side. So you could say the base is 6 times 6 and then the height is 10. Or you could say it's a prism the way that it's laying, and you could say the base is 6 times 10, and the height is 6. So it really doesn't matter, because this one happens to be a prism either way you lay
Can
it.
we plug it in as 6 squared times 10?
Mm-hmm. So what do we get?
300.
All right. What is the next one called? Look, I wrote it in the middle, so I don't have to write it twice. Oh, man. Oh, Ms. Rice, that was good. That was good. All right, so the formula for the volume is area of the base times the height, and the area of the base would be 11 times, so we can do 11 times 14. We're picturing this one. If we say that the base is 11 times 14, then we're picturing that it's on its side. We're going to like flip it over and call it the base. So 11 times 14, and then what would the height be if that was the base? 4.
Is it okay if we do it the other way?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's that way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because multiplication is the same regardless of the order. They call that the commutative property. My 9-year-old nephew had homework on the commutative property of multiplication, and I was like, "What?"
I remember that.
I was like, "Why do they even teach you guys those words? Just say it's the same. Call it good. Move on."
My third
Anyway.
grade goes back with no information. I don't know yet, right?
You guys have lots of feelings about this. All right, what did we get?
716 inches cubed.
Marvelous. Okay, I need you to switch colors. So grab a pen, grab a marker, switch colors. Switch colors. So sorry, there's markers in the back. Yep.
Just not like yellow.
Switch colors.
Hey, give me a
Yes. Oh my goodness, orange, please. Love orange. Thank you. Oh, this is so pretty. Black.
All right. You guys ready? All right. We are going to go back. We are going to go back and we are going to find approximate answers. What do I mean when I say approximate answers? Decimals. All right, grab your calculator. We're going to type in 63 pi. How do we type that in? Yeah, but we're not going to use 3.14. We're going to use the pi button. Where's that? Second up arrow. So 63 pi, everyone should have that typed in. And we're going to round to the nearest thousandth, which is how many decimal places? 3. So this is 197.920 meters cubed. Okay. For number 2, I don't have to type it in because the exact answer is it. Let's go ahead and type in number 3. 36 pi. Why would I not want you guys to use 3.14? It's a rounded number. So when you are younger, they let you do that to simplify things. Now that you're in high school, we'll say, let's not round till the end of the problem. So I'm not going to use the rounded number in the middle. I'm going to round at the very end. So 113.097 meters cubed. Okay. What? Yeah, I'm doing this one. All right, this one's good. This one we can type in. So 18 square root 2 pi. Okay. Would it be 971? 972. All right, so this one is 79.972.
And are the rest already done?
Number 6.
Number 6. Oh, I didn't even see that. My one's floppy.
That's a big number.
All right. You guys feel okay about volume?
Yeah.
Okay.